What is up, everybody? Thank you for joining us for LTMB Live. Let the madness begin. We have a show for you today. Boy, there's some breaking news. Some breaking news that we will definitely get to. Try not to let it last the whole entire show, but it's definitely breaking news.
Man.
News of the day, news of the week, news of this weekend, news of this month, whatever. Definitely have a lot to say about that. We are broadcasting live on YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope Live. So hello to everybody out there. If you're on YouTube, please click the subscribe button if you haven't already done so, and click that bell so you can get all the updated content as soon as we load it. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Somebody done stepped in it.
Somebody
done stepped in it.
In some doo-doo.
Again, this time it might stick. I don't know. I don't know if it will stick.
Yeah, that remains to be seen.
A lot of people are saying, it's about time.
Yeah.
Why now?
Yeah.
Like, you had all this other stuff. Like, honestly, you could have got this dude on emoluments, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you could have. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. And, I don't think this is just going to be contained into this one thing. I think it's going to be about those other things as well, because you can file multiple articles of impeachment. Mm-hmm. So we're going to get to all that. Okay? Because like I said, there's a lot of information to kind of sift through and just kind of break down. So we're definitely going to get to it. I did want to start out by highlighting what today is. Today is National Voter Registration Day. This day should be a holiday. It's not a holiday. But it was created, I think, back in 2012. And of course, it is trying to address the need for everybody to register to vote because it's so important. So there's multiple different websites you can go to learn if you are registered to vote, what you need to bring with you when you go register to vote, or possibly when you go register, or when you actually do go vote as well. One website that I went to that's pretty informational is vote411.org. Again, that's vote411.org. There's a lot of different information on that website, ways how you can register to vote. It will also tell you dates, key dates for when you have to have this done by, because we know that in different states there are different rules, and you don't want to miss the deadline, so that you will not be able to vote in your state's primary or caucus. So just get that done, please. Vote411.org. Okay. All right.
You just trying to see if they're ready?
Whew.
You just trying to make sure if they're ready, right?
I'm just making sure you're ready, okay? Again, this is it's going to be a lot of information to go through. Moose Gal said, yeah, Democrats finally grew a spine. I honestly did not expect it to come this quickly, but like I said, we'll get to that. So on Tuesday, the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, officially announced that the Democratic Party and the House of Representatives, well, not the Democratic Party, I shouldn't say that, the House of Representatives is formally going to go ahead with the impeachment process. She announced a formal impeachment inquiry. And so she did this through a press conference that she gave. She didn't answer any questions, but it was a pretty long statement that she had. We have some clips from that press conference.
Last Tuesday, we observed the anniversary of the adoption of the Constitution on September 17th. Sadly, on that day, the Intelligence Community Inspector General formally notified the Congress that the administration was forbidding him from turning over a whistleblower complaint on Constitution Day. This is a violation of law. Shortly thereafter, press reports began to break of a phone call by the President of the United States calling upon a foreign power to intervene in his election. This is a breach of his constitutional responsibilities. The facts are these. The Intelligence Community Inspector General, who was appointed by President Trump, determined that the complaint is both of urgent concern and credible. And its disclosure, he went on to say, relates to one of the most significant and important of the Director of National Intelligence's responsibility to the American people. On Thursday, the Inspector General testified before the House Intelligence Committee, stating that the acting Director of National Intelligence blocked him from disclosing the whistleblower complaint. This is a violation of law. The law is unequivocal. The DNI staff, it says the DNI, Director of National Intelligence, shall provide Congress the full whistleblower complaint. This Thursday, the acting DNI will appear before the House Intelligence Committee. At that time, he must turn over the whistleblower's full complaint to the committee. He will have to choose whether to break the law or honor his responsibility to the Constitution. On the final day of the Constitutional Convention in 1787, when our Constitution was adopted, Americans gathered on the steps of Independence Hall to await the news of the government our founders had crafted. They asked Benjamin Franklin, "What do we have, a republic or a monarchy?" Franklin replied, "A republic if you can keep it. Our responsibility is to keep it." Our republic endures because of the wisdom of our Constitution, enshrined in 3 co-equal branches of government, serving as checks and balances on each other. The actions taken to date by the President have seriously violated the Constitution, especially when the President says, Article 2 says I can do whatever I want. For the past several months, we have been investigating in our committees and litigating in the courts, so the House can gather all the relevant facts and consider whether to exercise its full Article 1 powers, including a constitutional power of the utmost gravity, approval of articles of impeachment. And this week, the President has admitted to asking the President of Ukraine to take actions which would benefit him politically. The actions of the Trump presidency revealed the dishonorable fact of the President's betrayal of his oath of office, betrayal of our national security, and betrayal of the integrity of our elections. Therefore, today, I'm announcing the House of Representatives moving forward with an official impeachment inquiry. I'm directing our 6 committees to proceed with their investigations under that umbrella of impeachment inquiry. The President must be held accountable. No one is above the law.
All right, so definitely that was a mouthful. Look, whether you support Nancy Pelosi as a representative or as the Speaker of the House or not, I tend to agree with everything that she said. What she did detail is that the House does get that whistleblower complaint. It is the law for them to get that. And the watchdog, the overseer really, Atkinson, was trying to do that but was blocked. So again, the Director of National Intelligence to block that process from happening, it does seem to be against the law. So she is right in what she is saying. Now, again, she's using that and maybe some other ammunition as well. Like I said, I don't think it's just about this, but she's using that to launch this formal impeachment inquiry. Now, we do have to get, kind of backtrack to kind of explain what's going on here and why this is going on. So it starts with a July 25th call between President Trump and the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. So in that call, look, we don't have the transcript of that call yet, but it is presumed that something improper took place. It is presumed that the President of the United States, Donald Trump, asked or urged the President of the Ukraine to investigate the Bidens, Joe Biden, and specifically his son, Hunter Biden as well. Now, this is because Hunter Biden, he was on a board, I believe, he worked for a Russian, a Ukrainian oligarch.
I think you spoke correctly, but that's another story.
That is another story. But yeah, he worked for a Ukrainian oligarch, I believe, and the company that he worked for was being investigated by some prosecutor. And what is alleged is that Joe Biden, when he was the vice president of the United States in 2016, put a call in or did something with his power and with his just his status. He did something to make sure that investigation went away. He did something to make sure that prosecutor went away. And that's ultimately what happened. Now, there's no evidence. This is all perceived. This is all just really based on theory. There's no evidence, as I know it, that lays out the case that something improper did happen with the Bidens.
Actually, that's already been settled by Ukrainian officials. They say there's nothing to those claims.
Right.
And Donald Trump did not like that assessment. I think this is just kind of a distraction.
Yeah.
I think they know that this case has already been reconciled, but they want to open it back up because we are in an election period.
And see, that's where the trouble really begins. Now, Donald Trump, the president of the United States, now he has said repeatedly that nothing improper happened. Again, what is presumed to have happened, and this was detailed in the Washington Post, I believe. And actually, there were multiple reports about this. But what is presumed to happen is that there was some kind of quid pro quo, in that the president of the United States, Donald Trump, withheld foreign aid to the Ukraine until the Ukraine did exactly what Trump wanted them to do, and that is to investigate Joe Biden and his son Hunter Biden as well. Now, days before this phone call took place, $400 billion? Yeah, $400 billion of U.S. aid to the Ukraine was withheld. Trump directed White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney to withhold that money. And so Mick Mulvaney, who was also the director of the Office of Management and Budget, he passed that order along to the Defense and State Departments.
So basically, he was extorting the country.
That's what it looked like.
In order to get something of value from them, and what is of value was, I guess, information on Hunter Biden and whether Joe Biden interfered with that investigation.
Right. That's what it looks like.
I don't necessarily think that they were looking for truth in that matter. They were looking for Ukraine to fabricate information for them and to make a case again.
That's a theory. Because again, like you said, this case is already been settled and they didn't find anything.
And think about it. Like, if I'm like, crap, like they're withholding this aid, that's going to put, me in a desperate position as a Ukrainian official, who's responsible for receiving this aid and facilitating this aid in my country. I'm going to be put in a weird position.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like, well, I got to come up with something to get this aid.
Right.
So I don't even think it's a situation where they were looking for truth. They were just looking for something that they could use, regardless of whether it was truthful or not.
So this is from The Hill. OMB officials told the Pentagon and State Department that Trump had concerns about the necessity of spending the money and instructed them to simply tell lawmakers that the aid was being held due to an interagency process, which continued for nearly 2 months before the funds were released earlier this month, according to the newspaper. Republicans on the Senate Appropriations Committee said on September 12th, a day after the aid was released, that the White House had delayed the aid to determine whether Ukraine's new president, Volodymyr Zelensky, was pro-Western or pro-Russian, and that a threat by Senator Dick Durbin to freeze billions in Pentagon funds prompted the release. One senior official told the Post that Trump held back the aid over concerns about corruption in the Ukrainian government, and that it was released in advance of the end of the fiscal year on September 30th. The official denied the motivation was to pressure Zelensky to investigate the Bidens, telling the Post that it had nothing to do with quid pro quo. So those are like two different kind of excuses for why the money was tied up. I believe Trump gave another one saying that he wanted other countries to put in their fair share as well in terms of foreign aid, I guess, going to the Ukraine. And that's why he held up the money to wait for the other countries to pitch in. These are multiple excuses, all of which I tend not to believe.
I don't believe it because there wasn't anything specific in regard to what corruption was suspected.
Right.
They were just kind of throwing that out there very vaguely.
Right.
And if it's vague, to me, if it's not explanatory,
Right.
then that is just some cover.
Right.
I think I was watching, I don't know if it was like Meet the Press or The Nation. What is it, Nation something?
The Nation?
The Nation, could be. I can't remember. I saw a clip of Mike Pompeo, and he was trying to explain all this.
Right.
And all he did was deflect to Obama. Yeah, I know. I thought it was weird. It was like, well, Obama allowed Putin to take Ukraine, to steal Ukraine, and all he gave them was blankets. Donald Trump was just trying to, be a diplomat to Ukraine. I was like, what does Obama have to do with
that?
it?
Doesn't even make any. That. Come on. That
doesn't matter what Obama did or how Obama failed Ukraine diplomatically.
That's
how
another
he
story.
rolled over for Russia in regard to letting them steal. I was like, damn, did you just admit that on TV? I thought that was weird.
Yeah.
I was like, he was willing to admit that Russia stole Ukraine, just throw Obama under the bus for something that is a non sequitur, something that is irrelevant.
This happened under the Trump administration. The phone call. That is really what this is about right now. It's about the phone call.
And I'm personally like, what is, to me, pushing the administration, particularly Trump, to release the transcripts, which they are in control of, by the way, when they saw that this impeachment thing was, coming to a head.
Right.
And all of a sudden they want to release the transcripts. I'm like, no. I was like, by law, this whistleblower has to testify. This whistleblower or the whistleblower complaint has to be sent to Congress. That's what we should get. We shouldn't get a transcript. We should get the whistleblower's statement and account going to Congress. That's what we should get.
So before today, Tuesday, that was really what was being speculated. If the phone call, if the transcript of the phone call was going to be released, were we going to actually hear or be provided in text what was said on that conversation? Now, President Trump, again, has stated all along that nothing improper happened. He did admit, though, that the subject of the Bidens came up. He did admit that he was talking about corruption, and he said that he didn't want to see corruption in the Ukraine like what the Bidens did in the Ukraine. So, look, I think he already made the case against himself. If he's talking about Joe Biden and he's talking about his son Hunter Biden and he's talking about corruption, I would bet, without seeing the transcript, I would bet that he probably said something about some type of investigation or maybe finding out the truth about Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. So if he said that, he doesn't have to include a quid pro quo. He doesn't actually have to state, hey, if you don't get this done for me, whether it's an ask or an urge, if he doesn't have to state that I'm going to withhold this money, this foreign aid from the Ukraine until you do what I say. He doesn't have to say that because I think it's already expected. I think it's already said in unspoken words. So
it doesn't have to be a quid pro quo.
No,
actually.
well, I mean it is, but it's unspoken.
It actually doesn't even have to be. It doesn't have to be if there's improper request made. The request matters. But in this case, there might actually be a quid pro quo, which kind of provides an extra layer to this, and it makes it even more egregious.
Yeah. Now, Trump, again, on Tuesday, he did announce that the transcript was going to be released on Wednesday. He did this through a tweet. He said he was busy with the UN. So, he was directing, I guess, his administration to release that transcript on Wednesday. Now, like you were just asserting just a few minutes ago, that's not enough because, first of all, we don't even know that these two are connected because we know that there was some whistleblower complaint. We know that the watchdog, like I was telling you, Michael Atkinson, who is the Intelligence Community Inspector General, we know that he felt that this was an urgent concern and he wanted to provide the details to Congress but was blocked by the Director of National Intelligence. We don't know what that concerns. There has been reports that state that it concerns the Ukraine. We see reports that it concerns this phone call between the Ukrainian president and the American president. But we don't know that for sure. We don't actually know for sure what is going to be detailed in that whistleblower complaint, but we know it is the law for it to be turned over to Congress. So this is Trump just trying to appease these Congress members by giving them something. Hey, this is what, see, I told you I did nothing improper, but that's not going to be enough. And for him to just turn his back on the Constitution, on the law, like I said, I think Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, is well within her space.
Within her rights.
To implement this impeachment process now.
Well, I know there's going to be people out there who aren't the least bit curious about this, because they view it as some tactic or some, I guess, distraction.
Yes.
From a particular party, that being the Democrats, because we feel a certain way about Democrats. But I think when it comes to situations like these, people can kind of put their animosity aside because it has nothing to do with that. Right. This is particularly about Donald Trump and his activities, not just in the Ukraine. I'm kind of with you because you mentioned there's going to be some stuff that's going to be stacked on top of this. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some stuff about Saudi Arabia too that they're going to introduce into these impeachment proceedings.
Could be.
But I think I don't know why people are surprised to see this from this president. I honestly don't know why people are seeing this from a businessman, someone who touted themselves as a businessman, and someone who we have seen in action, someone who we have proof of malfeasance, corruption, and fraud. We have proof of this throughout his entire life. We covered it on this show. I don't think it makes any sense right now to go through all of that, but I just don't understand why people have a hard time seeing that he is going to use his executive power to weaponize his political agenda. And that's what's going on here. He wants to use his executive power and his power over other nations for his own political benefit. And this is a good example of that right now.
Now, Trump and his supporters, they have tried to claim that this is just part of, I guess, part of the witch hunt. And this is a partisan attack. Now, he did that when it came to the Mueller report, the whole Mueller investigation, claimed that it was a partisan attack, talked about the 13 angry Democrats that were part of Mueller's team and blah, 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 all this. And again, these Republicans, his supporters, and himself are doing the same thing here, claiming that this is a partisan attack. Now, what kind of makes that argument fall very short is, I guess, who this involves. And again, the watchdog that we're talking about, Michael Atkinson, who is, again, he is the Intelligence Community Inspector General. He was appointed by Donald Trump in 2017, okay? Now, a dig into maybe how partisan he is reveals nothing. It doesn't reveal that he has contributed to any candidate, Republican or Democrat. It doesn't seem as though he has any kind of partisan leanings. Now, if he does, I would expect, I think everybody has partisan leanings. Everybody has an ideology. But I'm talking about, can you even see any evidence of it based on the way that he has, just contributed to candidates? No, you can't tell anything. And again, he was appointed by the Republican president, Donald Trump. There are some, of course, that know him. That when they found out that he was the one that was bringing this up and was trying to bring this issue up to Congress, saying that it was a pressing matter, it was an urgent concern, they were saying, damn.
Damn, he's like, we cannot we cannot peg him. We cannot label him.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think they would be more apt. I think they would be more willing to kind of let this go forward if they could prove some sort of like partisan lean.
Yes.
Because that's, I think, I can't guarantee that, but I think they'd be more willing to kind of let this whistleblower's testimony get to Congress, because all they can say is, hey, this is just another attempt by the Democrats to harass me.
Yeah. But that argument
This
is
is
going
just
to fall
another.
short
This
here.
is just another layer to the witch hunt.
Again, he seems, people that know him say that this is a guy that is just about his business, calls balls and strike. I saw one quote saying that. Donald Trump, of course, after Nancy Pelosi's press conference, in which she did announce the start of the impeachment inquiry, Donald Trump definitely had a response. He was going to have a response on Twitter, notably. So he said, "Such an important day at the United Nations, so much work and so much success, and the Democrats purposely had to ruin and demean it with more breaking news, witch hunt garbage, so bad for our country." So of course he's going to, say things like that. I think before Nancy Pelosi had her press conference, he had some tweets saying that this was going to be like a sure win for him in 2020 if the impeachment proceedings began. I guess he's expecting a visceral reaction from people, voters, which I don't know if it's going to be the case or not. His campaign manager, Brad Parscale, after the announcement of the impeachment inquiry, he, released something on Twitter as well, saying that it's going to be a landslide win for Donald Trump in 2020 now.
Those are that's what dogs do when they're scared.
That's what they do.
Those are barks.
Yeah.
That's what dogs do when they're scared. They try to like puff out their chest.
They do.
And kind of express this forced confidence, this overconfidence. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's what that is. Oh yeah, it's good. We're gonna win now. Like they're expecting the Democrats to back off now.
Yeah.
Like, oh no.
Like, this is bad. Like,
They-
no matter what, this
they're
is
gonna,
bad.
Oh no, they've gained some confidence from this. We should hold off. That's what they're expecting. But, it's interesting that the Democrats have taken this long to smarten up as far as Trump goes. Because Trump is horrible when he's on the defensive. When Trump kind of has the court to himself and is not being challenged, he is like leaving a 2-year-old home by himself. Leaving a 2-year-old just to run rain over the house.
To get in everything.
How you think your house would look? If you came back, you was gone for like 10 hours, and your 2-year-old was left alone, 2 or 3-year-old. How do you think the house would look?
Not potty trained? Most 2-year-olds are not potty trained.
Oh, he would have some fun. You'll have some fun. So when Trump is on the court by himself, and he's using social media, and he has the microphone, he can control the narrative, and that's the way he likes it. But when Trump is on the defensive, he tends to slip up. I mean, he slips up most of the time, but when he's on the defensive, when he is being attacked, when he is when people are trying to hold him accountable, he digs himself into a deeper hole. He's just bad. He's really not good. He's really not. He goes out of his way to offer really irrational defenses and kind of almost highlight where he's guilty at. He does this all the time, and he does it more when he's on the defensive. And I think this is a good strategy. Put him on the defensive, and don't just let him sit back and take shots at everybody and use his executive privilege to do so.
What really is perplexing here for me, and I don't know, given that it's Trump, maybe it's not so surprising, but it's still somewhat of a, like a wow. We just came off of the Mueller investigation. We just came off of that just a few months ago, okay? Now, that investigation took a long time, like 2 years, right? Took a long time. Now, once it was complete and Robert Mueller turned in his report to the AG, William Barr, And then, for anybody that actually wanted to read the details of it, you did get to read most of it. Most of it was unredacted, of course, but there were some parts that were. But still, Congress, read it, there was a lot of talk about it. But what came out of it? Nothing. Nothing came out of it, really. Absolutely nothing. Like I said, it's been a few months, and we don't really talk about the Mueller investigation anymore whatsoever. Nobody's talking about it. I don't hear any reports about it. He was not impeached because of it. No impeachment inquiry. Nothing happened. And again, what did that concern? That concerned Russia, and if Russia was involved with the Trump campaign trying to push him forward or try to push down the other candidate in the presidential race in 2016, Hillary Clinton. That all involved a conspiracy, collusion, whatever, with Russia. Now, it seems that he got away with it. If there was anything, it seems he got away with it. Now, we weren't sure that anything improper happened with, between him and Russia. But throughout the course of the investigation, as the Mueller report detailed, there were at least 10 clear instances of obstruction of justice. Again, it seems like that went away, and he has not been, put to task for that at all, right?
Mitch, okay. I'm glad you brought that up, because I wasn't going to. The irony of this whole thing in regard to Ukraine and Trump saying he is concerned with corruption in Ukraine.
Right.
You just brought up the Mueller report.
I did.
During Mueller's investigation, was there a particular person that had anything to do with Ukraine? Anything you do with Ukraine? Somebody that Mueller was focused on during his investigation. Was there any one of those people have any dealings with Ukraine that were uncovered? Uncovered, yeah.
You talking about Manafort?
Yeah, I'm talking about Manafort. Talking about Manafort.
Yeah. Talking about Manafort. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. A lot of his dirty deeds were uncovered throughout the Mueller investigation.
His job was to play, I guess you would say he was like a political maid, where he cleaned up the images to unscrupulous politicians. That's basically his job, was to clean up their image and sell, I guess, them politically. And that was his job, and he accepted money for that. And he did not disclose this to federal government.
Right.
He also laundered money.
Yes.
And this was the man who was his campaign.
He was his campaign manager for a while.
Yeah, he was Donald Trump's campaign manager. So I do think this is ironic.
Yeah.
This whole thing is ironic, that Donald Trump saying he cares about corruption in the Ukraine.
See, but what's surprising to me is, again, that we just came off of that Mueller investigation. We came off of the 10 instances of obstruction of justice. That conversation has faded away. We were no longer even talking about that anymore. Media organizations dropped it completely. Now, Trump is feeling himself so much, feeling like he has the power of the world. He can do anything he wants to. And he actually engages in similar activity on a phone call with the Ukrainian president, telling the Ukrainian president, or asking or suggesting, whatever you want to call it, talking about a political rival and possibly trying to get the help of a foreign country to take down your political rival, maybe in 2020 in the next presidential election. It's astounding. I don't know that I would call it surprising, because we know who Donald Trump is.
We know who Donald Trump is. We knew who Donald Trump was before he was inaugurated.
But that he had the balls, really. That he would go forward and do something that was similar to what got him in trouble in the first place?
But this started actually...
Or possibly got him into trouble in the first place?
This started before he became president, though. At what point in his life has he ever been actually held accountable for his misdeeds and his financial fraud?
Yeah.
Really, to me, his family being forced to I guess, close down their charities in New York. That's a punishment, but what? That's not a real punishment.
Right.
That's not a real punishment. Basically, I think it was Don Jr. He was funneling money from some noble cause into his dad's charity. I forgot what it was, some cancer thing, I think. But he was funneling money into his dad's charity. That's why they can no longer, I guess, practice in the state of New York as far as being a charity organization. Most people were familiar with Trump University. They were forced to settle for millions of dollars because that university was fraudulent. Garbage. There are dozens and dozens, possibly hundreds of complaints in regard to housing discrimination, not just with Trump, but just his father as well. He was forced to close down his casino a couple of decades ago because they were failing to report financial transactions, most likely because they were using the casino for money laundering. I mean, like, the list goes on and on and on. He has trademarks in over 20 countries. To me, again, I'm just surprised that they didn't go after him on emoluments grounds from the jump. Him and his family members, his daughter and Jared Kushner. But yeah, I'm just really not surprised here.
Well, like I said, it's the height of idiocy. It's just the height of feeling that you can do whatever you want to and you will not be held accountable.
You cover up for a murderer.
Yeah.
And somebody on Twitter called him Muhammad Bonesaw.
You did because of money. Seems like it.
Because of money. They give us money.
Right.
They give us money, they buy us weapons, and they invest in Trump hotels.
So a couple of issues there. Emoluments.
But I'm supposed to close my eyes to that because the Democrats are bad. I'm supposed to close my eyes to that because the Democrats are bad. Like,
all right. So look, going forward, again on Thursday, the Director of National Intelligence, Joseph McGuire, he's expected to testify before the House Intelligence Committee. So, again, it is the law for him to turn over that whistleblower complaint. Is he going to do it? I don't know. Before the impeachment inquiry was announced, seems like no, he wasn't going to do it, even though it was against the law. No, he wasn't going to do it. Now that there is a formal impeachment inquiry, you know, maybe the attitudes and the minds of the administration changes, and they do something different.
There is a compromise, though. It's not my compromise. It's Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. Sorry, Senate Majority. Mitch McConnell has a compromise.
What about it? What's his compromise?
He wants to have this whistleblower meeting behind closed doors. He wants to have. He wants the meeting with Congress, and he wants this whistleblower to testify before Congress behind closed doors.
Yeah. Funny. That's funny. I will add that the full Senate, there was a resolution in the Senate today, and unanimous consent. That means all senators, Republican and Democrats, they voted to make this whistleblower complaint, to have it released. So all of them want to see it, no matter if they're on the Republican side or the Democratic side. They all think that, yes, they should be able to see it because they are Congress, like I said, like the law says. So I don't know, man.
I'm trying to figure out what Republicans are thinking, more so than Democrats in this situation, actually. I'm trying to kind of like peer into their minds. Like, what are they thinking right now? Like, damn, like, are they thinking like, what do we get ourselves into? Like, we kind of given this particular person, Donald Trump, kind of free reign, and we just let him do what he does as long as he, brings the party money, donation money,
Right.
contributions, campaign contributions. As long as he does that for us, we're okay if he kind of, destroys the house while you're away. We're okay with that. We're okay with
But
that.
see, they can only do that to a degree. We do know that they seek to protect them whenever they can.
Right.
But, like I said, with this resolution, how would it look if the Republicans were like, nah, we don't think they should be released, even though it is law for it to be released to Congress? How would it have looked if the Republicans were like, nah, no, we're not going to vote for that? Of course they had to, because it was the law, and they are Congress. Of course they had to, yeah, we got to sign on for that. So they can only do so much to protect this guy. They can only do so much. But in voting in that way, saying that it should be released, again, on Thursday, the Director of National Intelligence is going to testify before the House Intelligence Committee. He's going to be ordered to turn over that whistleblower complaint. If he doesn't do so, how can the Republicans protect this administration?
So what comes along with a complaint? It's not just words. Because this is national intelligence, and this involves the president and his conversation with a foreign government, which we know is being recorded. Because even Trump expressed his disagreement with this on Twitter.
He was displeased.
He was displeased that, these conversations, are recorded, and I have a problem with that. Boo, you don't. You don't have a problem with that. You just had a problem because you got caught up in it. And you already know what we do as a country.
He doesn't like to read, though. Maybe he didn't read that. Maybe he wasn't informed. Maybe he was informed, but he didn't actually hear it, didn't pay attention. Because, again, he thinks he's a dictator. He can do whatever he wants.
Oh, basically, when he's talking about law and order, he doesn't apply that to himself.
Nah, I don't think so.
So when he was talking about checks and balances, corruption, anything like that, he's just talking about what he perceived other people doing.
Oh yeah, it doesn't pertain to him.
It doesn't pertain to him.
Like I said, this is very interesting, and this is going to be a storyline that continues for quite a while. Just to, I guess, let you know about what the process might entail. All right, this is from CNN. Impeachable offenses, according to the Constitution, include treason, bribery, and other high crimes and misdemeanors. What exactly constitutes those crimes, particularly high crimes and misdemeanors, has been the subject of vigorous debate throughout U.S. history. During an impeachment inquiry, a House committee, usually the Judiciary Committee or a subcommittee, conducts an investigation to see if a federal official's conduct warrants impeachment. Now, if you heard Nancy Pelosi, I believe she said that all of the committees in the House are going to act as one, I guess, under one umbrella. So I don't believe it's just going to be one committee that is going to be, I guess, going forth with this investigation, because that's really what the impeachment inquiry is. It's just an investigation, really. So President Trump can choose to participate in this investigation. He can have people speak on his behalf, testify in the House, in these House committees for him. He can choose not to do so whatsoever.
I already have. I'm just writing some names I already know he's going to call upon. Let's see, probably Lewandowski. Let's see.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one to start with too.
Let's see, Devin Nunes.
Oh yeah.
Let's see.
But he's in the House. I don't know if he can.
True that.
He's in the House Intelligence Committee too.
Oh
so
yeah. That's right. Matt Gaetz, maybe.
Is he on any House committees?
I'm not sure if he's on.
I don't know.
Meadows.
Again, he's in the House. He's in the. I don't know. He's on at least one House committee. Maybe the Judiciary Committee. Yeah. Looks like Lewandowski is his best bet.
But he's been fucking up on TV though, like Giuliani.
Yeah. So this is a little bit more information. After its inquiry, the committee conducting the impeachment inquiry writes articles of impeachment and votes on whether to refer them to the full House of Representatives. After that vote, the articles, if approved, are given special status on the House floor, and it requires a simple majority of voting lawmakers to approve them. We know that the House of Representatives currently is majority, the party that's in control, the party that has the majority is the Democratic Party. So if it does get to that point where they are filing articles of impeachment and they need a simple House, just a simple floor vote, and they need just a simple majority, then I think they're going to be able to get it done. Like I said, because I don't believe it's going to be just about this particular one issue. There are many issues that they can actually try to get President Trump on.
I do think it's interesting that, the issue that, I guess, that served as the straw that broke the camel's back is the whole Hunter Biden, Joe Biden issue.
Yeah, it's that.
I took that.
I guess this was, and really, it's been done before, again, because, look, President Trump has turned down request orders before, notably about his tax returns. And that dealt with one word too, shall. These committees were saying, no, we shall get the tax returns of anybody. They can get the tax returns of anybody. That includes the President of the United States. Shall. Doesn't say may. It says they shall acquire. So, but Donald Trump is like, no. And that's still currently, that's a lawsuit that's pending. We don't have the outcome of that yet. So this has been a lawless president.
Lawless in a system of lawlessness.
Yes.
Like, I think we have to add that in there. Like, labeling Trump as lawless doesn't mean we are kind of lifting up this system as one that holds lawlessness accountable,
right.
Especially in politics, especially in business,
right.
Especially in kind of the corporate environment. It's not what we're saying. Even in a society where our politics are corrupt, there still needs to be some kind of checks and balances. And I do see sometimes people offer that as some sort of argument. Well, if the whole system's corrupt, everybody's corrupt. I guess we'll do nothing then. I guess we'll just let everybody do everything. So there does still have to be some kind of checks and balance, some kind of accountability measures
right.
that are directed at certain people for doing certain things, even though we live in a system that is inherently corrupt. We still have to we have to yank people,
On the issue of the tax returns and his financial records, I don't believe that there was a resolution like we saw in the House, or not in the House, but in the Senate today, in which the full Senate voted unanimously that they wanted to see the whistleblower complaint. So again, there's only so much that the Republicans can do to protect this guy, Donald Trump, the president. There's only so much that they can do.
And he's the type of person that is he's always going to want a bigger piece each and every time. Each and every time he is going to escalate his behavior, his bad behavior, because his prior behavior was not accurately addressed or seriously met with any kind of measure of accountability. So he's the type of person it's just going to accumulate. Everything is going to escalate. That's who he is. That's who he is. When he gets away with something, the next thing he's going to do is it emboldens him. Yeah.
So just to give you a time frame of, just possibly how long this could take, it could take quite a while. There have been 2 presidents that have been impeached. Now, there has been no president that, because of the impeachment, they were actually convicted by the Senate, because that would be the next step. The impeachment would be done in the House. It would be sent to the Senate, and then what would commence is a trial. Now, it is kind of up in the air whether a trial would even commence, because we know who the Senate Majority Leader is. That's Mitch McConnell. Would he actually even entertain it? Because they know they have the votes to, turn it down, because you need a supermajority. You need, I think, 67 votes. He won't
bring bills.
Oust the president.
He will not present bills. He's blocking bills. So what are the chances
that he will actually?
My man's blocking bills right now.
Go ahead with the trial. I don't think that would happen. But anyway, The process of the House, though, can take a while. Again, there have been 2 presidents that have been impeached. That was Andrew Johnson first, and then Bill Clinton just a few years ago in the 90s. Now with Andrew Johnson, I don't even have that. But actually, the last 2, I guess, investigations with Nixon. Nixon wasn't formally impeached because he saw that the Republicans were not going to be with him, so he just resigned. But that whole process took about 6 months. With Clinton, it took about 4 months.
Oh, that's interesting. Do you think it was strategically timed? Because, I mean, if you're looking at 6 months,
Yeah.
you're looking at into like July. June, July, maybe.
6
And-
months.
Well, I say 6 months.
No.
I'm thinking
It's like
about
March.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking about the breaks that they have coming. That's why I'm taking into account the breaks that they have coming, because they have a few breaks coming.
They do. I don't know. I really don't know.
Because they have one like a couple weeks before Halloween,
Right.
and they have another one like right before Thanksgiving and after Thanksgiving for the holidays. So I'm taking that to account, and I'm like, it probably will extend to June.
I don't know. For Clinton, the inquiry was started, or it began in October, and it lasted until February. The Senate acquitted him in February.
There wasn't a lot of meat there, though. There
No.
wasn't a lot of meat in that one.
No. I don't know. Like I said, I think it's going to be a while. I think it's definitely going to. I don't know if it's definitely. I wouldn't say it's definitely going to go into the next year, 2020, but it's a good bet that it will. We'll see what unfolds, and definitely we'll see what happens in 2 days when McGuire, the acting director of National Intelligence, testifies before the House Intelligence Committee. Is he going to release what by law should be released to Congress? Is he going to do that or not? As of right now, that is the biggest question. Is he going to actually release the whistleblower complaint? So we'll see. All right. We talked about today. Monday, yesterday, was the first day of the Amber Geiger murder trial. If you can remember, Amber Geiger, the police officer, or former police officer, she was fired after this event. She killed Botham Jean inside his own apartment. This happened about a year ago. I believe, right?
Yeah, about a year ago. Claimed that she was, I guess, tired from a long day's work.
Yes. Tired. Super tired.
Super tired.
Parked on the wrong floor.
Parked on the wrong floor at the parking garage, and ultimately got off on the wrong floor.
On the wrong floor.
Because, obviously each floor of the parking garage, correlates with the floor of the living units.
Right.
So she accidentally parked in, the wrong level, accidentally walked through the wrong corridor, accidentally opened up the wrong apartment, and then accidentally shot someone she thought was an intruder.
Yes. Now, we've been through the details before, and in depth. We've been through the details before. So today, of course, was the second day of that trial. And, of course, there's been a lot of testimony so far. What I was happy with, because, you never could know. You never can know how the prosecutor is going to lay out that case. And one fact that we definitely focused on was the mat. The mat that was in front of Botham Jean's door. It was a red mat. Now, in front of Amber Geiger's door, there was no mat. There was no mat whatsoever. But in front of his door, there was a mat. She completely ignored the mat. She says that, and her defense team says that the door was ajar and she was able to just push it open, which, because of, and we've talked about this before when we talked about it, but There was one resident that lived at the complex that showed how the door was, and it was weighted. So, if you just let it go, it would shut automatically. It would shut all the way.
And during the trial, when they were playing body cam footage, the body cam footage of the officers that responded, there was a cop that was standing in the door who had to hold it open. But while I was watching that footage, I noticed the door was closed.
Yeah.
They had to get somebody to hold it open. Now, I watched a lot of it today. But I didn't watch any of it yesterday. So I don't know whether the prosecutors pointed out the actual mechanism for the door in regards to whether it actually locks or not.
Or shuts. Yeah.
Well, it closes, but does it lock as well?
I gotcha.
Does it lock? Some are automatic. So not only do they close automatically, they lock automatically.
Well, her team says that it was slightly ajar.
Her team says it was slightly ajar. Okay. I mean, of course, that's the story you're going to run with. And that could be true. We're not saying
but
that.
he would have to make it.
Yeah,
he would have to.
He would have to either.
You couldn't just let it go.
No.
You would have to. You know how you can just.
He would
make the door stick.
He would
there.
intentionally have to be very gentle.
Yes.
And wait for the door to hit.
Right.
And hopefully
that piece.
Hopefully
inside
there's
the door.
not enough momentum.
Right.
In that the door creates to close.
Yes.
That's what we would have to believe.
I think that's. I don't think that's hard to fathom. Really.
You know what else that I didn't even consider when this trial began? I guess something that I should have been thinking about, according to the story that we were given or we were told by Amber Gaillard and her attorneys. We know that Botham Jean was watching TV, right? We know that he was watching TV. I just totally forgot about this. But as they were playing the body cam footage of the responding officers, first of all, I was a little bored at first, but then I was like, wait a second. There was a lot of things I was noticing as I was watching this body cam footage, because during that point in the trial, they were questioning one of the first responding officers. And one thing I did notice about him, that dude, he was distraught. He looked distraught throughout that trial while he was answering questions. And if I could gather anything from what he was giving off, he doesn't look like he believed Amber Gaillard. One thing I noticed from the body cam footage of the officers as they were approaching Botham Jean's apartment was how well lit the corridors were. And this was according to body cams that are, I guess, don't achieve the same resolution as your eyes. Your eyes are better.
Yeah.
But from the body cam footage, I was able to see everything. Those corridors were well lit. Another thing I was able to see was when they entered the apartment, I was able to see a television that was still on. And that was emitting light. And this officer testified that when you come in, you can, even if it's like the room is dark and the TV is on, you can actually see a far distance because of the light that the television is emitting. Even if somebody's sitting on the couch, whether they're standing up, like Amber Gaillard says, but wherever they are, it's not pitch black enough to where you can.
Her claim and before this trial was that she saw a silhouette, and that silhouette was only there because of the light from the corridor. She couldn't see anything really inside the apartment because it was all dark inside the apartment. All she could see was the silhouette because of the light coming from behind her.
But the footage that I watched that the prosecution was sharing, it actually, body cam footage showed there was a TV being on. Now, what are the chances that TV was cut on or activated after?
Well, while they're investigating, while they're investigating, they're like there's some background. Maybe they want to catch the news or something like that. Maybe there's a sports game on.
Maybe Dancing with the Stars.
Something. They're missing their favorite show. Yeah, like maybe, probably not though. Probably not. There was some stuff that was kind kind of produced that I don't believe that we had any information on. Apparently, there was a relationship that Amber Geiger had with another police officer. And also, she was texting and sexting that officer on that day and on that night. So the prosecutor, the jury learned that I think it was about 4 hours before the shooting, she had texted, his name is Rivera. She said that she was, quote, super horny today. That was about 4 hours before the shooting. Now, that doesn't mean a real whole lot. That was 4 hours before the shooting. Now, about 30 minutes before the shooting, she had Snapchatted him saying, quote, want to touch. Now, that was, like I said, 30 minutes before the shooting.
Who says that?
I don't know. That doesn't really want to. Anyway, maybe she sent a picture as well. Yeah, maybe she sent a picture.
That makes sense. Probably like a little underboob.
Maybe.
Or just know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you want to touch.
I'm not speculating. I don't know. But she said want to touch. Now, also, she had texted the officer Rivera twice after the shooting. Okay? She was also on the phone with him during her drive home.
So she was sexting and driving.
That's what it seems like.
But she was just so tired.
She was tired. Remember, she worked like a 13-and-a-half-hour shift. She was so tired she could not tell what floor she was on. She couldn't tell that there was a red mat on the door. She couldn't tell if the door was unlocked or pushed open a little bit or not. She couldn't tell that there was a TV on and if there was light inside the apartment. She couldn't tell a whole lot because she was so tired. But she could text and talk on the phone with this other officer, send some new pictures. Which this stuff too, these text messages were all deleted by her and the other officer.
And the other officer's explanation as to deleting these messages was something like, "Oh, I don't want to keep that stuff."
Why would you? Yeah, like why would you want to keep something like that? Like kind of saying that that's not something that is worth keeping.
First of all.
Nah, man. You lose me there. No way. Sorry. No, you keep that.
Look here. All I'm saying is I never deleted pictures I got from my girlfriends, past girlfriends. Never deleted them. I didn't go out of my way to delete them. I'm just saying. I didn't go out of my way to delete them. But when I received those pictures, it's not like I was like, yeah, girl. Yeah. Oh, shit. Yeah, I like that. I like that one. Boy, I can't wait to see you. Oh, word. And I'll be like,
delete.
Delete. I'm like,
I don't want to keep that.
I don't want to keep that, even though I like it, and even though you're my girl. Like, come on.
Hold on. What was the point of sending the picture? If you weren't gonna keep it, seriously, like it doesn't even make any sense. Clearly, they're trying to cover something up.
That's why she probably was in communication with him after she shot Botham G. Again, and that tells me that she was more concerned about covering it up. Why is she texting her boyfriend or her lover or whatever? Mm-hmm. Like, what? Why is she texting? Also, one thing that also came out is that she actually had a radio. Yep. Now her body cam wasn't on because she wasn't on duty. She didn't have to be on, but she did still have her radio. But she didn't use her radio.
She was flustered.
After Botham G, after she shot Botham G. She did not use her radio.
Like,
real quick.
Flustered.
Real quick. Real quick. Hey, yo. Code whatever. Code, I'm a dumbass. Like,
you're acting like she's a police officer. And like knows what to do. Like has been trained or something. That's what you're acting like.
She decided to use her phone. This seems a bit like she was wasting time for some reason.
Oh, and another piece of information came out. The prosecutor stated that there was no attempt to save the life of Botham Jean by Amber Geiger. No attempt to save his life. It wasn't until the other police officer showed up and medical personnel showed up to the scene in which they tried to save his life.
Didn't she?
She didn't do anything to save his life.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Did she say something about like?
I believe so. That she went over there.
Didn't she say something about trying to administer life saving?
She did. Oh yes, she did. prosecutor said, no, that's not true. Also said that based on the trajectory of the bullets, seems like she was in a crouch position when she shot him as well.
That seems. See, actually, this points to her guilt, but I'm still more confused.
Yeah, I know. It's like we have more questions.
I have more questions because now I'm checking that against her original story.
Yeah.
It doesn't even make sense considering what her original story was. So, and it opens up so many different avenues, concerning what actually happened.
Well, this trial is expected to last about 2 weeks. That's what it's expected to do. So it's going to be a little while until we actually get to the jury deliberating and then ultimately coming up with a verdict. So we'll definitely let you know how this case proceeds and how the jury elects to decide the fate of Amber Geiger.
Man, I have to keep my mouth shut, dog.
All right, so let's go on. Okay, the Democratic presidential process. The DNC has implemented some new rules for the fifth debate due to take place in, I believe, is going to take place in November. Candidates will have to have at least 165,000 unique contributors. This includes 600 contributors in 20 different states. Also, the candidates are going to have to register at least 3% support in a minimum of 4 qualifying polls, or they can have 5% support in 2 state polls that are in Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, or Nevada. So those are the new updated rules. Again, it looks like the DNC is trying to, separate people, or actually try to kick people out of the debate process. It's the fifth debate. I don't think this was unexpected. I think as things go by, they're going to want, the heaviest hitters to be involved in the debate.
Yeah.
So it's not unexpected. Now, I believe it starts after the fourth debate takes place, and it goes until, I believe, the week leading up to the fifth debate. So they have a while.
Speaking of the fourth debate.
Right.
Your girl qualified.
So she says. I thought
it was official.
Is it official?
I think it's official.
She
gonna be there. I thought it was official. I could have swore I saw it.
I haven't seen anything that was official. Now I've seen that she has stated that she has qualified, but I don't know that the DNC has said so as well. We know that the DNC has a process, and some polls are not qualifying polls. So I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen anything that said that this was official, that she was going to be there. If she is going to be there, then I believe that they would separate it, because if they said that if it was over 10 candidates, that they would split it up into 2 nights. Do you see anything official?
Mm-hmm. All right. So, yeah. Totally qual. That's Politico. That's The Hill. Yeah, The Hill, National Review, Politico, USA Today. So about a few hours ago. Yeah. So.
Okay. So, all right. So I wonder if they've already made the determination about splitting up the fourth debate, or if they're just going to let 11 candidates be on the stage at one time.
I think it says there will now be. It says 6 hours ago. It says there'll be 12 candidates.
12.
12.
How? Who's the 12?
Let's see.
The billionaire. I would think that he's probably the closest.
Yeah. Tom Steyer. Julian Castro, Amy, Andrew, Beto, Corey, Elizabeth, Bernie, Kamala, Pete, and Joe. So yeah. Yep.
Okay. So it looks like there's gonna be 2 debates, I guess.
Honestly, I like that better. I do like that better. It's going to.
I mean, it hasn't been announced that there will be 2 debates, but the debate was supposed to take place on October 15th in Ohio. And now it's possible that it's going to be October 16th as well. So
I'm hoping there's 2 debates. I can't take 12 people on stage.
well, it's not enough time either.
Yeah,
for all candidates
it's not
to
enough
talk
time for all candidates.
in 2 hours.
Yeah, I just don't think it's enough time. So I think they should divide it. I think we'll get more out of these candidates and kind of maybe the debates will achieve something they haven't, and that's actually cause some sort of movement in the polls or some sort of, it would reveal more about the candidate that we don't already know.
Right.
So
Now this will be the first time that we're going to get a look at Tom Steyer on the debate stage.
The debate stage. I think that's why the debate should be broken up too.
Now, again, we've talked about Tom Steyer a few different times. Whether you believe him or not, because of course we've talked about his background, hedge fund manager, I believe, but since, it's been years since he distanced himself from that background. And he did start Next Gen America, I believe, which is a environmental advocacy group. Seems like he's been saying all the right things, been doing all the right things for a number of years now. And especially during this presidential campaign season, seems like he's saying all the right things again. He looks like a strong progressive. What's coming out of his mouth, his rhetoric, he's a strong progressive. Again, it's another case if you believe him or not. But on that debate stage, there is going to be at least a third very strong progressive in rhetoric on the stage.
True. Based on
four with Tulsi.
4. 4. Kind of based on his stated agenda, based on what he says is now his worldview and his outlook on the state of our government. Based on all that, right? Who do you think he lines up with most?
I think he lines up with Bernie most.
Okay, all right.
I think he lines up with Bernie. Actually, look, and again, this is based on what we hear coming out of his mouth, what we see from his platform. I know a lot of people are suspicious of him. I know a lot of people may not believe what they are seeing and what they're hearing. But what we are hearing from this guy, he lines up with Bernie. More so than I would think Tulsi Gabbard or Elizabeth Warren. I would put him in rhetoric, in his campaign approach. He's second to Bernie, I believe. In terms of his progressive approach, I believe he's second to Bernie. So, we shall see.
Do you think Steyer? I don't know, believes that he has a chance, or do you think he's just in this to kind of forward some sort of conversation, or just be in the mix of things to try to, I don't know, be some sort of balance?
The dude's a billionaire. I think he thinks he has a chance. He's got himself this far with his money. I mean, his money got him to this point.
His money got him to this point.
He's been doing a lot of advertising,
and it's still early. And if you're looking at it from a strategic point of view, you remember what Buttigieg? Did you see the thing that Buttigieg tweeted out about neoliberalism?
I believe so.
Yeah, he said something about neoliberalism has failed. Blah blah blah. We need something different.
Right.
And I was like, does he realize what he just said? I was like, oh, you just contradicted your whole campaign, dog. But anyway,
well, he thinks he's a progressive.
He thinks that's right.
Yeah.
But anyway, Steyer is rhetorically offering something completely different than that. And so I think that's where his advantage is. If he was like a Delaney type, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, he would get lost in the mix.
He would get lost.
He wouldn't even made it to this point.
I don't think he would have made it to this point.
No.
So I think that's maybe why he has had success in achieving those poll numbers and achieving the amount of donors he has, because he kind of is playing to the audience.
Yeah.
He's playing to the audience here, regardless of whether it's genuine or not. So it's like I think the jury's still out.
Yeah.
I think the jury's still out.
Dude, I think he's a very interesting candidate. Not to say that you're like, whoa, I really think he's gonna swoop in and like get the nomination. I think, I wouldn't be betting on him to do that. Again, he's a billionaire. He can make things happen, especially if he's able to, I guess, just, real if his message resonates. And we know that Bernie Sanders' message resonates. So I don't know. I think he could make some moves. Again, I wouldn't bet on him to really make a lot of noise here. But it's not, it's not just like out of this world that he could. I think he's very interesting because of his background and like who he is right now. He's so distanced from that background. He's done a complete 180. And like I said, many people do not believe in his evolution. Many people do not believe that he's actually doing or actually wanting to do things the right way. But I don't know. At this point, I can't say, no, he's a fraud, he's a phony, he's not really about that life. He's just trying to become the president. And once he becomes the president, he's not going to really push for these progressive proposals that's in his platform. And I can't say for sure that this guy is full of shit. I can't say that,
all the things he has referred to as destructive, right?
Yeah.
Because he has. He's been very detailed to point out the things that have been destructive to our body politic, right? As far as like corruption, as far as governments not doing the will of the people and serving corporations, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Wealth gap, all that good stuff. Healthcare, the environment, he's on top of it. Criminal justice, he's on top of all that.
Right.
So he's been very forthright about talking about those things. So if he kind of gets the nomination, just a long shot.
It's a long shot.
It's a long shot.
It is.
You think he just, not just a nomination, but again, even longer shot, that somehow he overtakes candidates like Warren or Biden or Sanders. Even if he would do that, like he would then have to carry that. He would have to carry that strong rhetoric into office. He would have to.
He would.
I mean, that applies to everyone else.
Yeah.
That applies to anybody, but I think, like you said, he's an interesting character because of his background. And based on that, since he has experience and he's been in that corporate environment, well, not just the corporate environment, the environment that he says corrupts our politics, he's been there. So it would just seem weird for somebody like that who has had kind of a tangible change, a tangible one, and not just in rhetoric.
Man.
Yeah, so it's not like, hey, I'm renewed, I'm changed, I'm redeemed. Like, it's not like he walked to the altar and just prayed. He was like, okay, I need forgiveness.
And he's not trying to forget that background too. He's actually apologized.
See, that's the thing.
It's like wow, you're doing things that would make it seem like you're actually legit. Again, like other people would be like, well, they would try to excuse that behavior. He didn't do so.
Yeah, that's right. It's like, hey, I didn't have bad motives when I was doing it. He's basically saying, I was greedy.
Like I said, I think he's a very interesting candidate. He has money. He has enough money to propel him to even better standing in this whole race. So I'm just, like I said, I'm interested for October 15th or 16th or whenever. I'm interested in what he says on that debate stage.
I have I don't know. Maybe this is going out on a limb here. I just have this feeling that if he can bolster anyone else's campaign, not just his own, because sometimes when we are listening to these candidates talk about their platform, we can't help but reflect on those other candidates at the same time. And that's why I asked you, what candidate does he more, I guess more aligned with?
Yeah.
It'll be Bernie Sanders. So having, whether they're on the same debate stage, on the same night, I don't think matters not. If you have somebody else up there, that is kind of giving credence to your kind of platform, I think that helps you. I don't think that takes anything away from you.
Mm-mm. And I think he's going to be
if it's
very
genuine.
aggressive too.
If it's genuine. Now, if we're talking about Bernie and Liz, I think there's a different story there. Liz seems to be a little bit more corporate friendly, and so I do think Bernie supporters kind of make that distinction. I don't know what distinctions can be made between Bernie Sanders and Tom Steyer.
Look, like I said, I think he's going to be very aggressive on that stage because this is a guy, I don't think he has anything to lose. I don't think he has anything to lose. He's going to be very aggressive. I think he's going to go after what, we're going to have to see if it's one debate or two. But if he's on that stage with somebody like Biden, if he's on the stage with somebody like Elizabeth Warren, he might go after her. Because we know that with Elizabeth Warren, there is some wishy-washiness.
Yeah, isn't there?
Yeah.
Well, I was curious, and I went back and watched some interviews, and I was like, "Whoa, son, did she just do that? Did she just do a little shuffle from that question? She is, the question that I guess Emma issued her when she was doing her interview about, her vote on defense budget. That's one time she did it, but she did it in multiple other instances. So,
yeah. So let's go to Bernie Sanders, okay? Because there's a new poll that's out that's getting a lot of people talking. A new poll from Iowa, the latest Des Moines Register, CNN, Mediacom poll, reveals that Elizabeth Warren is surging in the state of Iowa. She now takes the top spot in this latest poll in Iowa. She came in at 22%, and this is up 7% from June. Second place was Biden at 20%. That's 3 percentage points down from June. And then Bernie Sanders came in at third with 11%, and that is down 5 percentage points since June. So there was no other candidate that made the double digit. So, of course, these are the top three candidates, and that's pretty much how it's been in all the national polls, multiple state polls. These are the top three as of right now. So many people have been talking about these numbers. Many media platforms. Here comes Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren taking over the top spot. Is this indicative of bigger things? Is Joe Biden a goner now? It's Elizabeth Warren's race to lose. There's so many different narratives, but all of them positive about Elizabeth Warren, and it's because of this one latest poll in Iowa. Now, like we said, Bernie Sanders came in number 3, came in at 11%, 5 percentage points down from June. Also, what was contained in this poll in Iowa is that Sanders had the highest unfavorable ratings of the top 5 candidates. So I believe in June it was at 22%, but now I believe it's up to 36%. So, look, that's very interesting because since June, we're talking about from June until now, about 3 months, maybe 3 or 4 months, right? Something Bernie obviously did make voters in Iowa feel like turned off.
A little uncomfortable.
Yeah, turned off from Bernie Sanders. I can't point to one particular thing. I can't point to anything. But he has the highest unfavorables of any of the top 5 candidates. Okay. So, look, there was a lot of negatives in this poll for Bernie Sanders. There were some good things about how Bernie Sanders voters are very much tied to him. They very much want to vote for him, so that was a good thing for him. But like I said, all the media coverage surrounding this poll is about how glowing the numbers are for Elizabeth Warren. So we want to turn to a few things. Chris Cillizza from CNN, he had an article that came after this poll was released. The article's titled, "The 2020 Top Tier is Just 2 Candidates Now." So he is meaning that the top candidate he still has Joe Biden there because he's doing, I guess including all the different polling and, just just kind of like adding all these polls up, and he's coming away with that Joe Biden still has the lead nationally. And Elizabeth Warren is coming in right after him at number 2. So,
how close is Bernie again, man? How close is Bernie? Now, just not talk about what he's down, but what was he polling at?
You mean in the Iowa poll?
Yes, sir.
At 11%.
And what was Warren?
Warren was at 22%.
Okay. And this is just an Iowa poll?
This is an Iowa poll.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Now, again,
I'm going to just take it at face value and say, hey, okay, regardless of what the demographics were, regardless of what the target audience was, let's just take it at face value. Let's just say this is what the poll says. Let's just accept this. Okay. This is a representation or a small even if it's a small sample size, you can kind of extrapolate this, or give or take a few points throughout the whole state. Let's just say that's the case before going into this. All right.
So Chris Aliza, like I said, he thinks that this poll, and I guess other polls as well, has told the case or told the story that Elizabeth Warren is now number 2, and it's just a 2-person race. Bernie Sanders is number 3, and not only is Bernie Sanders number 3, he's actually tied for number 3 with Kamala Harris. Number 3 is Bernie Sanders and Kamala Harris, tied for number 3. These are his power rankings. You know what I can't stand, man? Do you know what I can't stand?
What's that?
Power rankings.
This is not college football.
No.
Not NFL.
But yo, even when I see power rankings when it pertains to sports, you know what power rankings mean? Nothing. When the NFL releases, or ESPN, usually it's ESPN, it could be NFL.com, whatever. But whenever I see, power rankings after every week of the NFL season, Patriots number 1, Green Bay maybe number 2, Dallas number, whatever. You know what this means? Nothing. They can always be beaten. It means absolutely nothing. It's nothing to even pay attention to. It's something that I guess fans be like, oh yeah, my team is strong. Look at that. It means nothing. And in the case of politics, where we're some 3-4 months away, over 3 months away from the first test in primary season and caucus season, we're that long away. And we're talking about power.
So what are you saying? Are you trying to say they are kind of trying to project something?
Oh yeah.
Are you saying they're trying to project
not
something?
Someone.
Okay, project someone. Well,
yes.
You have to kind of project everybody, but you're talking about favor.
Yes.
They're trying to favor.
Propel. Maybe I would use.
Yeah, they're trying to favor someone.
Yes.
And kind of I don't know, create an analysis based off of this poll, create an analysis for the entire primaries that haven't even started yet. Really?
Haven't even started yet.
But why would they do that?
That's a good question.
Why would they go and do that? To me that doesn't make sense. We haven't even started yet, yo.
Haven't even started, but there are power rankings. And it is officially just a 2-person race now.
Doesn't it seem like they're trying to take advantage